We are a day's ride away from Tarantua, and the Earth Gnomes have yet to strike at us. And all the better for it. Over the past 2 days, we have battled through harsh storms and loud thunderous bolts of lightning, which has slowed our progress as we've made our way back home. The skies give me a threatening feeling in my heart. We've hardly seen any daylight during this trip so far, and the horizon has hardly blazed with the light of the sun. Storm clouds surround us all day, all night. Huge mountain falls have nearly wiped us all off the side of these rocky mountains. Brisk winds have damn near rolled away some of my men, as well as some of the farmers, off the mountain in the nights that we've slept. Thick raindrops have drenched the trail we walk. They've nearly destroyed and or sunken our wagons full of food. In all my life of delivering our harvest supplies to Tarantua from its shores, I've never faced a more dangerous road. I ride at the front of the pack, watching for what lay ahead, while Sir Brothick commands the rear of the pack. The hour is of midday, yet it seems closer to nightfall, and we have about another 23 miles of these mountain trails to pass through. I caught the scent of something rotten, and after about another quarter mile, I saw the remnants of several dead diorams. "Hold!" I shouted. I approached the dead, bloody animals whose red liquid had dried and sunken into the black, mucky surface of the mountain. There were 17, I counted. There was hardly anything left of them. I studied one that had several portions of its body ripped and broken. The head had been bashed in by something heavy, and was separated from the rest of the body, which was split in two. Both the rear and front right legs had been torn from their place. The spine was dangling out of the neck area on the front half of the body, and the mid-lower area of the spine on the back half. The stench was foul, but not unbearable. Based on what I could tell, the bodies must have been laying there for a few hours at the most, which struck even greater fear in my heart. I know this sort of brutality, I mumbled to myself. I returned to my men. We must drag these diorams off the side of the mountain so that we may move the wagons forward. And be quick about it. We all know what killed them, I said. A group of my men came forward and carried the carcasses of the diorams off the side of the mountain in a desperate effort. They all mumbled curses under their breaths due to the smell. One of them, a little scrawny fellow, was so upset by the stench that he vomited several times. He moved eagerly and was in a rush to get the whole thing over with. I was about to call him back out of feeling displeased, while he dragged a large body part toward the edge of the trail. All of a sudden, his foot slipped off the rim of the path. He reached up as he fell and latched onto the edge, but hit his head and let go. Though the rain was pouring hard, and a loud crack of thunder echoed throughout the skies, I could still hear his screams all the way as they dimmed out and came to a halt. The men paused their work and stared blankly in the direction of the dead soldier. "Hurry it up! We haven't time to mourn for the boy's death," I said. Not too long after, my men had finished clearing the path and we pressed on. Shortly after we started moving again, however, we started hearing deep thuds that almost sounded like thunder, but I knew better. "You, soldier," I said, glancing down at one of my men from my horse. "Go to the rear and tell Sir Brothick to be on his guard." "Yes, Sir William," the soldier said. The thuds became louder as we kept on moving, and by the time the soldier returned, the thuds were so loud that it seemed like the whole world was echoing with these deep, roaring thuds. It sounded as if a great strong warhammer were banging against the walls of the deepest cave, echoing into eternity. My men, and especially the farmers, were irritated by it. Most were screaming, covering their ears. They prayed to the goddess Lorelin for dear life, and for Tirok to give them strength and protection. The screams, the roars, the roars. It all sounded like a song of madness. It was the song of the mountain. The thunder, the screams. There were even noises that sounded something like drums almost coming deep from within the mountain itself. In voices deep and sharp alike. Some whispering, some shouting. It all seemed to fit into some sort of odd melody. I had lost track of time. The cracks of thunder, the screams of men, the noises, the madness. It all seemed to flow into certain silence at some point, and that was when I saw them. I looked above me and saw many Earth Gnomes falling down onto the trail, several feet across the way. They all landed on their feet and hardly seemed to be affected by the impact their bodies made against the mushy, but at the same time hard surface. The Earth Gnomes held their clubs of stone and their warhammers of iron. Their bodies were as black and rough as the rocky mountains that made up the Valley of Demise itself. Not a single aspect of their body flinched or twitched. They were as still as the great mountains we stood on. As everyone behind me screamed and shouted, I watched as the Earth Gnomes did nothing but stand still and silent. I was absolutely terrified. There wasn't a single doubt in my mind that we were all about to die. There are so many, I thought to myself, trembling at the sight of them all. I watched as they all started to move aside, the Earth Gnomes, as one of them came forward with a young dead soldier in his arms. It came before me, this Earth Gnome. It moved slowly, but with every step it took, a loud shout of thunder followed. I gazed into the Earth Gnome's deep, black, empty eyes, and the longer I did so, the faster the tears started to stream down my cheeks. Despite the fact that I wasn't even trying to cry, the Earth Gnomes in the background were beating their great clubs and warhammers against the side of the mountain as well as the ground beneath them. It all sounded as though a large rock slide was coming. When the Earth Gnome carrying the boy finally came face to face with me and paused his approach, all went silent. I continued to stare into the empty eye sockets of the rocky-skinned beast. The Earth Gnome extended its arms out toward me with the boy dangling dead in its reach. I glanced down at the dead boy, uncertain of what to do. The Earth Gnome's face was expressionless. "Sir William!" one of my men whispered, slightly out of breath. "Sir William, what are we to do?" I looked down at the boy, and then back up at the Earth Gnome. I slowly reached for the boy, keeping my eyes on the Earth Gnome's disfigured face, and gradually took the boy into my own arms. The Earth Gnome faced its body out toward the rim of the trail and pointed its finger toward his companions. Farther down the trail, he opened his mouth slowly, which sounded like tiny rocks rubbing and rolling against each other. He made an almost indescribable noise that was subtle, yet deep and strong. As he made this noise, swift winds seemed to blow past my ears with whispers of words. Among all the whispers, one word seemed to be very clear. The whisper said. I was speechless and almost felt like I was dreaming. The Earth Gnome returned to his companions. "Wait! Stop!" I shouted. The Earth Gnome didn't seem to hear me. "Why have you done this? Why now?" The Earth Gnome paused and turned toward me. He opened his mouth again and the windy whispers blew past my ears again. "We are the mountains. We are the mountains," they said. The Earth Gnomes then walked into the side of the mountain and appeared to sink through its solid rocky skin. "My gods," I gasped. "It spoke!" I thought. Never, in all the time our people have known the Earth Gnomes, have they ever spoken.